Welcome everybody to Passion Unchained. It's Joe, and I'm here to introduce my guest for this interview, this very special interview, Andy. Andy is the founder of Kill Your Inner Loser and the Inner Winner Show. I've alluded to him and linked to his website in tons of podcasts. He is a coach and mentor of mine. He helps guys around the world build sex lives they love with complete and radical honesty with women and radical honesty with themselves. He's a freaking awesome dude, has an awesome sex life and an awesome life in general, and has helped me and several others around the world be more productive, be more clear, and get their goals in the bed and elsewhere. Really fucking excited to bring him on. He's a guy I very much appreciate and respect in many ways, and I'm really excited for you all to hear him. Enjoy.
Everything bigger in Texas.
Especially them hats. It's actually true. Like,
Okay.
I don't know what's going on in Australia, but there's so many fucking trucks, and they're very, very, very large. There's actually a Texas edition.
There's trucks here too.
There's literally a Texas edition of one of the trucks. I think it's like either a Dodge or like the Ford F-150. I think it's the Ford F-150. There's like a Texas edition.
So that shit's not a meme. Like, are things actually bigger in Texas?
Yes. So I don't want to get up and go get it, but I have a muffin tin.
Welcome
that,
everybody to have
you go into the grocery store, and it's the muffin tin, and it's 48 little like muffin things. It's the thing you put in the oven. It's 48. It's like 6 by 8 or whatever, and it's huge. And it said literally Texas sized.
I'm gonna look up. I'm looking it up now. Bigger in Texas, and it says there's an article with like 150 things that are bigger in Texas. Like,
You can go to the grocery store and buy things that say Texas sized, and it means they're bigger.
Texas size. I like that. I respect that.
Like hamburger buns. You can buy Texas sized hamburger buns, and it's bigger hamburger buns.
Texas sized. Oh, you're actually correct. Holy shit! What the fuck?
Well, yeah,
Texas
I'm right
size.
here.
It's on. There's like an Urban Dictionary article about this. This is cool. Anyway, what would you like? There's a donut. There's this chick trying to eat a Texas donut, but it's like as big as like half of her body.
Well, but this isn't about me. This is about you, and you live in Down Under.
Welcome to Australia. Can I swear on your podcast, sir? Can I swear on your podcast?
Don't fucking swear on my podcast. That's it. Yes.
Welcome to Australia, cunt. Welcome to Australia.
Oh man, I know you like saying the N-word, but no doing that. Everything else is fair game.
What, Nepalese? I won't say Nepalese.
Hey! I said no.
This is weird being on someone else's.
N-word is no. You have to say yes to everything I say.
Negative.
That also starts with an N, sir. You naughty boy.
Contrary.
I'll let you get away with that one.
Disagree. Disobey. I'll just say the word disobey.
Well, at least you're being honest about what you're doing, you little naughty boy. So you are Andy from the Inner Winner Show, and I have mentioned you as my mentor, and I love how like my mentor is like doing this thing. It's hilarious. But you're kind of like super casual, which is like a down under thing though, right? Like you have to be casual down there.
Fuck no, this country is like a shithole. We're the opposite of casual. That's like the impression we like to pretend.
Somebody told me it's like impolite to be formal.
In here? Okay, to be fair, if you come here as a tourist, yes, people will be a lot nicer and a lot more chilled to you, but I don't think that we're doing that any more than any other country. Like, if you go around to the southern states in America, from what I've heard, everyone is really welcoming, like more so than here.
That's true. Yeah, that we call it Southern hospitality.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we're fairly chilled, but I think we're also very uptight about a lot of things.
Fair enough. What kind of things are you uptight down under?
Me personally, nothing.
Okay.
except having a messy bedroom. I'm very uptight about that. But
Well, you mean like you're
other
uptight as in you have a messy bedroom or you don't? I'm confused.
I get anxiety if I have a messy bedroom.
Okay. So you like
Messy
things
kitchen.
being
In terms of
clean.
like, yeah. I feel like you keep insinuating some sort of innuendo that you're going to turn to, but you just don't like. I don't know if that's me and my dirty mind.
I think that's you in
It's
your
probably me.
dirty mind.
Do you want me to answer the question, or do you?
I asked you a question, you naughty boy.
I know, and I'm very bad at answering them. So, what stuff are we not? We're very bad about drugs, like a bunch
Okay.
of supplements as well, like a bunch of stuff that you
Yeah,
guys just get there in the
melatonin's like
States. Isn't
fucking.
yeah.
It's like
Yep, we
so-
don't. No, can't get that here.
Yeah, it's like prescription only or something.
Yep, kratom you can't get. Ephedrine you can't get. What other one? Phenibut you can't get. There's like 500 supplements that you just can't get here because we just like make everything illegal. We have like too many laws. Like we're the opposite of America. We don't have like free speech.
That's weird though, because the way that Australia was founded, it was like convicts going over there. So wouldn't you imagine it just be lawless? Or is it more like a
You'd think
prison?
so, but no.
I guess that kind of makes sense.
It's more like a prison. They took our guns, bro. They took our guns in the 90s.
I heard about that.
No guns.
Yeah. I have a
Yeah,
gun.
all murder's been raised. I wish I had a fucking gun.
I have a rifle. It's not for self-defense. It'd be shit for self-defense. A bolt action Ruger from the 80s. It's a really good rifle for hunting, for like if I wanted to shoot a deer or a pig or something, which I will do once I get some fucking ammo, because you can't get any ammo anywhere. It's like nowhere. There's zero ammo anywhere. But once I get some ammo, I'm gonna shoot them piggies. As in like actual pigs.
Is
I
there
like
no-
cops. They're very nice. I mean pigs.
I feel like you actually cause more doubt. You look worse by actually explaining.
I
If you
probably
just let
did.
that-
I mean, like
Yeah.
in Texas, we have a pig problem, and I intend to. Fuck! I did dig myself a hole. I didn't need to dig, didn't I?
Don't say fuck in the same sentence as police, or you do just immediately get arrested.
That's a shame. Well, I think we should probably wrap up this podcast so I can get ready for jail.
Yeah, I'm down if you want to end it there. I feel like it's been great. Thank you,
No!
everyone. I appreciate
I
you
love
having me on.
bro. I don't want you to go. So the reason I have you on is because you have a really cool way of living life, and that is you pretty much do what you want. And by that I mean,
I mean, sure, for the most part, yeah, sure, yeah.
yeah, by that I mean like you decide on a path in life, and no matter what other people think, you have decided on a goal, and you're very stubborn in that. And I think that's one of your biggest traits, and that's one thing I admire about you. And so I guess, was that something you were born with? Was it something you learned? Was it a mixture of both?
Ooh, this as in the stubbornness?
Stubbornness, yeah.
Yes, but it's also something I developed. So I think I was stubborn because both of my parents were very stubborn. I saw their examples a million times. If you want examples, things like if somebody screwed them over, my mum would just be like a bulldog. She'd grab hold and like until she got her way, she wouldn't let go. My dad was pretty much the same. My dad was a little less like ferocious. Not that my mum's ferocious. She's like an absolute sweetheart. But like if you made her angry, she would get her way. Like if you didn't deliver what you said you would as a company or something, she would win. You will not win the argument with my mum ever. Like, you just won't win. She'll outlast you. And my dad is like similar, but from a more like calm, quiet, stoic sort of place where he just says it very quiet, but there's like an energy behind it where you're like, oh, this guy's serious. Like he's going to get what he wants. And like, so I think from their examples, I picked up on that from an early age. And I was like, oh, if you want something, you get it as long as you're willing to just not stop. Like you will always win. You will always outlast the other person. You just have to, it's a game of chicken. You just outlast. You don't have to be tougher. You don't have to be louder. Some people think to get what you want, you have to be an asshole. No, you just have to wait longer. That's it. And so that was kind of what I figured from an early age. And I think that's why I've achieved a lot of the goals that I have is I've just figured like from that lesson I learned from them, if I just keep going long enough and don't quit, I will get it. And that seems to have worked out. If you just keep working on a goal, eventually you get there. It really is just like outlasting. You don't even have to do a good job while you're doing it. Just keep doing a little bit each day, and you eventually outlast long enough that you reach your goal.
Mm-hmm. Just who can wait longer, who has more patience.
Yeah, and to be fair, man, like you've met enough people, and so have I, that like just quit. Like, and you're like, bro, you're halfway there. Like, if you just kept going, you would have made it. But they're like, nah, I'm never gonna make it, and they quit. And like, so many people give up on their goals way too early. Like, you really can achieve anything if you just don't freaking stop. Like, just keep going.
Yeah, that's the trick, and it can be super hard because if you don't see anything, that's why I really like the idea of the slight edge. This is something that the slight edge I actually internalized. Like it was super intuitive for me. Like before I read any books, I think I told you when I first started hitting on girls and getting my sex life figured out, I instinctually did the slight edge. I instinctually was like, okay, I just need to talk to a girl a day, and then I just need to like ask a girl to go on, like essentially isolate a girl, if you want to use like a really like specific term. Every single, like if I like a girl, then I'm going to isolate her, and that's just like a habit I'm going to build. And I just eventually like lost my virginity on my own without reading any like books and shit. But
which is pretty inspirational, by the way. Like that's a pretty fucking cool story. Like you made it happen.
Maybe I should talk more about that. It just was instinctual to do that, to just to go bit by bit. And I think that's the solution to being patient, is being being the tortoise, and the hare is just go further, but do it by bit. And I'm curious, like you talk a lot about the slight edge, and if you have anything to say about that, how that worked for you.
Yeah, I love the slight edge. So if any of your listeners are listening and they don't know which book it is, I'm sure you've mentioned it a million times. The whole premise of this book is just like do a little bit each day. That's it. And just don't quit. And like eventually, if you're just doing little baby steps every day, as long as you're consistent and you wait long enough, those add up. And I feel like that's the philosophy of life. And the point that he puts at the start of the book is there's a million self-help books out there. And what they all fail to give you is like the actual template for how to put into practice the advice they're giving you. And that's why I like this book, because he's like, take the advice from all the other people, or the advice from this book, but take other people's advice, sure. And the way you implement it is by doing a little bit each day, tiny little baby steps. You know, you don't climb Mount Everest in one big leap. You need to take a million steps to get there. So break down your big goals into little goals, little tiny manageable parts, and handle that, and then do the next part, then do the next part, and try not to look too far ahead. Just take it kind of day by day. Or keep that end goal in mind, sure, but like don't let yourself get overwhelmed by how far you have to go. If you're trying to lose weight and you have like, I lost 77 pounds myself. Like if you're trying to lose a bunch of weight, that's like a lot of weight. That's like half a person. Like if you're going to lose that much weight, if you have to lose that much weight, like don't, it felt like I lost a little midget that day.
Did I see, do you have photos online of you at your like heaviest?
Yes.
I imagine that you'd be like pretty fat. Like
I have a bunch.
Or just
no, I was like properly fat. I have a bunch in my 365 project. So I was doing a photo every day, and that was when I was at my heaviest. And so there were quite a few like shirtless photos of me in that project. So if you want, I can give you a link afterwards to probably like if you remind me after the call, I can send you links to like the 3 fattest photos, and you'll see my face was like big fat boy, and my tummy, like I have one where I'm shirtless, and I have like a pot belly, like a big pregnant belly.
Oh, that's adorable. I think I saw one of them. I think there was one where you're like doing one of the things like showing your depression, and you had like a frowny face or something, and like your belly was out. I might just be imagining it. I don't know.
I know which one you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty inspirational though. So okay, so this channel is about how to build your life from scratch and make a life that you love. And a lot of that is like feeling good and being healthy, which losing weight and having a perfect body, it's both of those. You feel great about yourself. It's great for your dating life, for your sex life, which is also part of a life that you love. Whatever dating life that you want to build, it's easier when you look good. And it's also good for your health when you're at a good weight. You don't have extra fat, especially subcutaneous fat. So what did you do to get from there to here?
Counting calories, first of all. Like every diet,
One.
if you break it down,
2. Ha ha ha.
well, you have to eat more than 2 calories, but sure. If you're counting in thousands, then sure, yes. So off by a factor of 1,000. But yeah, counting calories for sure. Every day, like every diet breaks down into calories in, calories out. Every diet is just a different way of achieving a calorie deficit, as in eating less calories than your body burns. And so I counted my calories. I did what's called if it fits your macros, or IIFYM. And you basically just try and get a certain amount of calories a day, and you can eat whatever you want within that, as long as you're eating enough protein. But I didn't even really worry about protein, to be honest. I only cared about calories. And so I ate for a while there. It was like 1,500, like 1,500 calories. As long as I was within that, I could eat whatever the fuck I want. So I had a couple of friends who noticed my weight loss as I was losing it. They're like, what are you eating? And I was like, oh, like today I had pizza, I had like some donuts. And they're like, wait, what?
Nice.
And I'm like, yeah, you can eat whatever the fuck you want, dude. Eat whatever shit you want. Just you have to count it in your calories. And so they were like, wait, you're serious? You literally eat? And I pulled out, like, because I have an app, MyFitnessPal, to track everything, like to record everything that I eat. I pulled it out and I'm like, here's what I ate the last 5 days. And he's scrolling through and he's like, bro, you just eat pizza every day. And I was like, yeah, I love pizza, dude. And he's like, here, you just ate like 12 donuts. That was it for your whole day. And like, I don't necessarily recommend that, because you do get hungry if you're not. But like, I didn't give a fuck. I love junk food. And so that was kind of how I lost weight. And then on top of that, I just walked a lot. Like I would just walk. But
I heard you say in one of your podcasts that you like walked up and down your apartment stairs for like 10 hours.
Yeah. So that wasn't every day, but that was like a lot of days. Yeah. Especially towards the end, as I started to, at the start, all I did, and again, this is like the slight edge, when you're just trying to lose weight at the start, just start gently. All I did was like count my calories. And I think I started at like 2,000 calories a day. And I just slowly like lowered it as I felt like I could do it more and more, as I gained confidence, as I stuck to the habit of sticking to the calories. And then eventually I added in walking. And then, by the last couple of months, success started to snowball. I'd already lost like 50 pounds or something, right? And at that point, I'm like, bro, if I want to lose more weight, I can just walk for like 12 hours a day. And so I'd started doing that. Like the job that I worked,
listening to
I worked from
podcasts,
home.
or were you just like thinking in your head or something?
For a lot of it, yeah. A lot of it was meditating. A lot of it was like watching YouTube videos or like listening to music.
Or like having it in front of you or something as you're walking? Yeah. Okay.
So when I was working, the job that I had required me to think a little bit in between like actually doing it. And so I had a standing desk, and what I would do is I'd work for a little bit for like 5 or 10 minutes. And then you need to start thinking about what you're going to do next. So I'd pace back and forwards in my apartment, because I worked from home. I'd pace back and forwards. Okay, now I know what to do next. And then I would start typing, for 15 minutes or whatever. Then I'd think again. And then when I was bored of just walking, like you said, I would get my phone. I'd just be like watching my phone, and I would pace back and forwards in my apartment, like just watching videos, just watching movies. I had my laptop as well. I just hold it in my hands and just watch movies while like pacing back and forwards. And so I'd do that for probably like, let's say like 10 hours a day towards the end. There were some days where I'd walk for like fucking 14 hours when I was really, but again, that was me being obsessed. Yeah. Yeah. I have you don't have to walk 10 hours, but.
That's fucking awesome. First of all, I have a couple things to say, but first, I have a friend who, he really likes video games. Shout out to Sasha. I just said your name. Shout out to Sasha. I say first names. I don't say last names.
I'm sure he knows his name. Yeah.
Yeah. He bought a treadmill desk, and so he does it's like a standing desk, but it's on a treadmill, and so he does his work on a treadmill, and then
that's cool as shit.
Yeah. And so what he'll do is he'll like video game, but while he's on the treadmill. So he has like his TV set up like where the treadmill is facing the TV, and so he'll just like walk while he's video gaming. Pretty awesome.
That's legitimately cool as shit. No, that's so cool. And I'm a big fan of like cheating in order, like cheating, like doing whatever cheats that you have to do in order to get to your goal. So like for me, it was like we said, like watching YouTube videos while I was walking back and forth, eating junk food as long as I stuck within my cat. That's cheating. Sure. It helps me get there. Man, I wish we could get across to more people. I wish more people understood this when they start trying to lose weight or they want to lose weight. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. It takes effort and work. Yes. It takes consistency. Yes. You don't have to be perfect. You can fuck up here and there, but like I wish we could make it more clear that it can be a fun thing. Weight loss for me was fun as hell. It was like an excuse to be lazy because I could watch movies for 10 hours a day. Think about how fucking lazy that is and how you'd feel how guilty would you feel if from the moment you woke up until you started work and then again after work until like you go to bed, if all you did was watch movies, you'd be like, I'm a lazy piece of shit. But for me, I was like, every single second I'm watching like dumb movies that are just throwaway like action flicks and like they're not adding to my life, but every second I'm doing that, that's productive. I'm doing something worthwhile. Like, man, it was like the most fun. It was like a good excuse I even for a while, I played like video games and shit. I had a Nintendo Switch. And so I was just like playing fucking video games while like man, and you get to rationalize that this is healthy. So I wish more people knew that. Like what you're talking about, your friend, like on a treadmill and shit. If you play video games, yeah, man, that's like the most productive use of your time. I say all the time, if you're overweight or obese, if you just did nothing else for the next year but lose all that weight, that would be the most productive year of your life so far. Like that would legitimately be the best way you could spend your life if you did nothing but lose weight. So if you wasted 10 hours a day just playing video games while walking on a treadmill and you lost all the weight, yeah, best use of your time.
As long as
like,
you pay the bills, but yeah.
Sure, yeah. You also need a job on top of that, fine. But like,
or
hell, I would even encourage people if they're young enough, like if you're less than 25, if younger than 25, like just see if your parents will let you move back in for a year, contribute a little bit of money to pay for food and stuff, but like stay with them and just be a lazy so you don't have bills and just like take time off work and just lose weight. Just go to the gym for like 5 hours a day. Like again,
just be like,
just fast track
support you to be like, yo, like you could be like, yo, like I really want to get healthy. I think it would be amazing to just knock this out of the park and then be back out on my own next year. And they'd, you know, it depends. Like, I don't know how your relationship with your family works, but if they're supportive, that's like, they probably love that. They'd be like, oh, wow, like I'm really helping my kid. And he's like, this is enabling him or her to like have an awesome body and an awesome health. Like I'm going to make my kid a lot healthier. So that's, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that idea. That's another thing that you do is like, you find like, so like you're very, it's very easy for you, or I don't know if it's easy for you, but you seem to do a very good job of like, okay, this is what the problem we have to solve. Here's like 5 solutions that you could potentially do. And you seem to have those like for everything.
Yeah. I don't know why. I can't necessarily explain why. I think I'm just good at researching and brainstorming. I think those are my two of my greatest strengths. So, and I think I got that from my father. So my dad, he worked a bunch of jobs. He worked like fucking 20 different jobs, everything from like a district manager of like the healthcare system in his state to like a librarian and everything in between, bus driver, like tour operator. He opened a agriculture center. Like he just did a bunch of like weird different shit, right? And one of his favorite jobs, and he kept coming back to it every few years, was being a librarian, working in a library. And he used to always say to me, like, librarian, he had this like stupid cheesy catchphrase. He'd be like, son, librarians don't know everything, but they know where to find everything. And so he taught me from a young age how to research stuff, like how to go and find the answers to it. And he basically taught me like any problem, like you can just go figure out the answer. Like the answer is there. It's in a book. Someone already had this problem before you and they already solved this problem. You just need to go and figure that out. And so anytime someone hits me with a problem, my first thought is like, how do we fix this? And that's something you guys can teach yourselves. Like just start Googling, literally. I taught this to my girlfriend, Imogen. This was a skill I taught her as well. Because when we first got into a relationship, she had a lot of problems, or like she would present problems to me and she didn't have a solution. And I'd say, go Google it. And then she'd go, oh, I never even thought of that. It blows my mind that we live in this century and people don't research stuff. Like your first thought isn't like, oh, I should type that into Google. Because you type literally anything into Google or even YouTube. YouTube is another great resource. And like a bunch of shit will come up. You go try that and you're like, oh, it worked. Cool, great. Like I don't think there are any. Yeah, you go.
So just for context, we had this, Andy just interviewed me for his show, which will be out in a couple weeks because I'm releasing this tomorrow. And we kept interrupting each other, so we instated like a hands up policy. So fuck, I forgot what you were talking about.
Research, Google.
Research. Yeah, so it's funny you say that because there are several times in the past couple of years where I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, let me Googling something has been so ingrained in me. Like, for instance, maybe I'm like, I have a date, right? And I'm at the date
Hmm.
and she's not there and like she hasn't texted me. I'll like Google, like, I'll like think like I should Google, like, is she going to come?
Yeah,
It's
like
it's like, it's so ingrained in
no,
me that
but
it's
it
just
would
like,
blow
it's
your
the
mind.
go-to.
It would blow your mind how many like little problems like that you have every day. And people don't think to, again, I've had it ingrained in me and I've built it into a strong habit of like, if I have anything, I just Google it like immediately, anything. If
Yeah,
it's
but I
like,
mean, like,
I
stuff
don't
that
know.
doesn't, that's not gonna like
Yeah, but
work.
there will
Like,
be an answer to that. You say like, is she going to come? If you just Googled like, is she going to come? There'll be a bunch of forums and articles and people saying like, don't worry, dude, here's how long you should wait. Here's how, like, there's other women
yeah,
out there.
it's a good
Like
point.
there's stuff that will reassure you every time. That's why I always just say my first thought is like, go to Google. And
Yeah,
the more you practice this,
there's
you
so
said
much.
before that I'm really good at like, one of my strengths is like, I'm pretty decent at coming up with a solution with like a bunch of solutions. And that's
Hmm.
only because I've Googled so much stuff that it's almost like you've built a habit of like looking for solutions so you can kind of predict what the solutions might
Hmm.
be. And then I will go and Google on top of that. But like it's a habit that you build. It's like a skill. It really is like coming up with ideas or solutions to problems. I hate this
Especially
notion
since
that a
it's
lot
right
of
in your
people,
pocket. Like, the
yeah,
phone's right in your pocket. You
yeah,
have the
there's,
Library of Alexandria and more in your pocket. I mean, obviously
yeah,
not that, since that got burned to the ground, but like the equivalent of the Library of Alexandria and more in your pocket.
yeah.
Like, imagine like in ancient times when there was a Library of Alexandria, like there's very, very, very few people in the world that could go, like, had ability to get in and then the ability to transport themselves to it. Like, that was very, very hard for you to get to.
And the
And
ability to find it even when they were there, because you still have to find it in that big library.
uh,
Google just
and you
gives it
had to
to
be
you.
literate. Like, there are very
Yeah.
literal. Most people were not literate. They couldn't read it.
Hmm.
They couldn't understand it if it was written.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's crazy. And now we have it in our pockets. We could have it like read it to us. If you're blind, your phone can be set up to like read it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no real excuses anymore. Like, and that doesn't mean to say I'm minimizing people's struggles, of course not. But I'm saying like, you can't sit there and say like, oh, I have this problem, I don't know how to fix it. It's like, well, that's what Google's for, buddy. Like, jump on Google. Like Google will
Yeah.
tell you how to fix it. Go and read a bunch of forums, spend like 2 hours researching, and then you'll have some ideas. Try a bunch of them.
Mm.
If none of them work, do a little bit more research, or once you try some of them and see that they don't work, you'll be able to refine those questions. Like maybe your first question that you typed into Google was clumsy as shit, and now you know what the actual problem is because you've tried a bunch of stuff, and now you can ask a better question, or you can
Hmm.
do a better job of researching and find a better answer.
So, on a tangent, it was like connected to something earlier, but no, it's not. But that's okay. Uh, you you help guys with their sex lives, and you have a very unique sex life yourself. It's one of the reasons why a lot of guys
It's all right. It's pretty
look up to
decent.
you. That's why I look up to you, and especially because not only is it an amazing sex life, but my highest value is, I would say, maybe probably integrity is my highest value. My second
Mm,
highest value is self-authoring, which is
mhm,
building my life based on what I want
mhm.
and not based on what other people want. And that's why, like, I talk. That's why, like, what whole fucking thing, Passion Unchained, is about.
That's
Build
your
the life that
freaking
you love.
channel. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I guess, explain how your sex life is set up so that people understand why I'm talking about it in context with self-authoring.
I guess okay, if you want to come at it from that angle, I guess we can talk about what's different compared to normal people. Because, like, for me, my sex life is nice. It's fun. I enjoy it. Like, I love it. But like, the better answer to your question would be, how is it different from other people's? Because that's
I
what you're
mean,
talking about
or
here.
you could just like literally say, just like, what is the setup? Because then it's kind of obvious what's different.
So it's like an open relationship from. I mean, I guess you call it an open relationship. Like my girlfriend and I, Imogen, we sleep with other girls together. She doesn't sleep with guys. I don't sleep with guys. I don't sleep with girls on my own. I've like played around with that a little bit in the past, but the point that we're at now is we both see girls together in threesomes. We date them. We have a bunch of sex. We have a couple of foursomes, like with a couple of girls every now and then. Like, well, we've done that once, I should say. And we kind of just like so it's like open, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. And we kind of just do what we want there. And that was something that I knew I wanted for a long time. I never really wanted to be monogamous. I was in my first 2 relationships, so I tried that for about 8 years, and it just wasn't for me. It didn't work. I wasn't happy. I was resentful. I cheated, which I deeply regret to this day. It's something I've moved past, but yeah, I'm not someone who wants monogamy, if you want to just phrase it like that. And so we have like a bunch of, awesome sex. Like I've got a cupboard behind me that I could open up that's got like a bunch of sex toys and BDSM stuff and ropes and handcuffs and candles and whips and all that kind of stuff. All the shit in 50 Shades of Grey, but without all the angst and all the bullshit drama.
Nice.
And so,
I like the way you put that.
but I think so you could look at it and say, what have I built? I've built like a non-monogamous relationship with a girl that loves me and that I love her to bits, and we sleep with girls together and we both love doing that together. It's like a very relationship. It's a very couplesy thing that we do together. Like it builds our relationship when we do it. It's like a fun thing that we're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also come at it in terms of I have sex with whoever I want, and that's kind of what I've, built up. I don't really tolerate drama. That's something to talk about because a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
kind of just put up with stuff and they settle and they don't have
Mhm.
boundaries. They don't have clearly defined boundaries. They don't have requirements for a relationship. Like they basically accept whatever they can get, if you know what I mean. And my mission has
Yeah,
kind of
first
been
girl that
to
touches their dick, it's like, yeah, you're mine.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I won't be able to get another one, so I have to kind of lock
Yeah.
you down, which isn't fair. People talk about that. I know people in our communities and stuff. They talk about like, man, you're better than that. You can't be just settling. I'd also throw in that's not fair on the girl. Like, how is that fair on her? What she has to know that, or she has to pick up on the vibe that you're only with her because you can't do better, and that you don't actually, think that she's wonderful or special or anything. You're just clinging onto her because you don't think you can get another one. Like, that's not
Mhm.
really fair on her. What she's got to take that with her for your whole relationship. You're only with me because you're a loser. Loser's a
Mhm.
strong word, but you get what I mean. You're only with me
Yeah.
because you can't pick someone else. You're just grabbing
Yeah,
hold of the
I've been in
first.
relationships because of that. Like
So
I've
have
been in
I.
relationships where it's like I'm with her because either A, I could but don't want to do the work, or B, or you actually really it's I probably could have, but I didn't think I could have.
Yeah.
Which is this is like that's more like it was in my mind that I couldn't, but I really could, or like I just couldn't because I wasn't in the place where I had that in me. And it's just sucks for you. It sucks. That's where it's that like possessiveness, that emotional, like
And like resentment, you almost have
yeah,
resentment because I was in those relationships, like I said, for like 8 years,
yeah,
I think, in total. And it's like you do resent the other person, even though she's done nothing wrong. She's like a fucking sweetheart to you.
no,
In
she
my
likes
first
you a
relationships,
lot and she's like amazing, but like yeah, like it sucks because there's one particular relationship I had where I was really attracted to it was bad. I was really attracted to her roommate. And yeah, and I was an asshole to her, she was an asshole to me. But like in retrospect, she was very attractive, very smart, very like feminine. Like she was just a great all around girl that I she was a fucking catch, and I was with her and
yeah,
she liked me so much. Like she liked me, like it was adorable. The for Valentine's Day, we both loved crafting, and she made this like jar, and she like inside she put like little bows and shit on the outside, and inside she put like a bunch of like pieces of paper about reasons why she liked me, and it was the
oh,
most
that's
fucking
fucking sweet as
adorable
hell.
thing.
Yeah,
It was the
that's
most
nice.
fucking adorable thing. When we broke up, I threw it out. I mean, that's probably something you shouldn't keep around anyway when you break up with a girl. But it was like really
Yeah,
fucking nice. It was, and like I used to get bad on myself for that, hard on myself because I'm like, fuck, like I was such an asshole, blah blah blah. But like that's where I was. I can't really get mad at myself for being where I was.
yeah. I try and live my life. I know I used the word regret before. The reason that I use that word is to when I was talking about that I cheated in my first 2 relationships,
Mm-hmm.
the reason I use that word regret is because that's just the word that people will pick up on. They're basically, I'm trying to distance myself from my past behavior and saying, like, yep, I acknowledge I did this. I don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
this anymore. I don't actually feel regret towards it. And that doesn't mean I don't like wish I hadn't done it. It doesn't mean I don't feel like shit, that was a horrible thing to do. But I don't like to live my life in terms of regrets. I like
Mm-hmm.
to give myself a little bit of, it's a balancing act, because you can't just say like, yeah, you cheated, that's fine, that's okay, like everything. It's like, no, it was a
Yeah.
fucking horrible, shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
It's fucking like the evil of the universe is like cheating on someone, lying to their fucking face, not giving them all the information that they want. They want to know, like, are you loyal to me? And you're just like, yeah, sure I am. Like, that's evil. That's the most evil thing you can do, lying to someone. And so I definitely don't endorse that behavior. I'm not happy that I did that behavior. But you do when you look back on your past self and enough time has passed. Remember that I cheated when I was like, it was over 10 years ago. It was like 11. So yeah, I don't have regrets now. If I had regrets 11 years later, like, Jesus Christ, why have I not moved on? Why have I not atoned for my sins, so to speak? Why have I not made up for it? Why have I not gone and helped a lot of other people? That's what I tried to do, like build a better life so that you can move on, so that you don't have to sit in the past. But it isn't necessarily fair. Once enough time has passed and you've evolved and become a different person, and you operate under a different set of guidelines now, and you're a better person, you're nicer to other people and all that. Once you've done that for long enough, like maybe I don't know what the length of time is. Maybe you've done it for 3 years. Maybe you've been good to people for 3 years to make up for how shitty you were in the past. It depends on how shitty you were. But after enough time has passed, at that point, it's not fair to look back at the old you and have regrets or beat yourself up or say I was a piece of shit, because you're now a different person. And that's what the title of my website, Kill Your Inner Loser. You do kind of kill the old you, or you move on, you distance yourself from the old you. You become a new person. And you're basically judging an old version of yourself if you say like, man, I was such a piece of shit. If we're talking like a long time has passed, like 3 to 5 years, it's not fair. You're bullying like someone who's at a lower stage of their personal growth. Like, you're basically bullying a newbie if you say like, I have regrets, like I was a piece of shit, like if enough time has passed.
Yeah, I think this
So
is
I
a
try not to
perfect
have
jumping off
regrets.
point for your honesty, your approach about honesty. Because you said something like, I hope, like, I cheated on my ex-girlfriends, but I hope I helped enough people in the process. And I would say like 100%, like the way that you talk about honesty, I guarantee you there's like at least 100 guys out there having sex with girls and being more honest because of you. Like, at least
for
100.
sure. And I've had a bunch of emails, and like comments and stuff like that. And that stuff really does, like, it feels good. Like I've had plenty of people literally say, I've been lying to women my whole life. I've been hiding from them. And you were the first person who told me that I'm allowed to just tell them the truth. I can just be real with them. I don't have to play games. I don't have to like try and get into their like sneak my way into their panties. I can just be honest and tell them like, hey, I'm attracted to you. You're really hot. Like, would you like to grab a drink? I can just do that. And if I have any concerns, I can just tell them. If I have a problem, I can just say, hey, I have this problem. Let's solve it together. Let's like come together, fix this problem. I don't have to like be resentful. And so hearing that stuff feels absolutely amazing, of course, because like, like you said, I hate the notion that there would be a bunch of people out there that are just kind of going along with dishonesty. Guys and girls, both genders lie to each other. Of course they do. But they go along with it thinking that that's like the status quo. That's what I have to do. That's what I've always done. That's what everyone else does. We all kind of like, we play this game. It's called like the game of dating. It's like a dance. And
oh, I hate when people call it a game. Like, I know, like when you say like, oh, I've got good game, that sometimes that just means like you're really good at something. But when it's like I have my college roommate, he was very good with girls, but he was very dishonest and indirect with them, and I would like question him about it, because even then, even like way back when I was still kind of like a piece of shit, because I was a lot less mature than I am now.
Are you
I was
supposed to
still
not
like
be saying piece of shit when you're talking about your past self?
maybe not, but all right, daddy. But I was still like really honest and upfront with girls, just because it felt right. Like, I would try like the pickup artist stuff, and it just felt so wrong. Like I couldn't get myself to do most of it. And my friend, like, he also didn't like the pickup artist thing, but he was like, it was a weird conundrum to me, because he had a way of like being indirect, but not being like pickup artisty. He would kind of like, it looked like girls would just fall into his lap, but then like if you talk to him, he'd be like, oh yeah, like I'm making this happen. I'm like, it was a weird thing where he was so he was so good at like making other people think that they wanted what he wanted, kind of like Machiavellianism or whatever. Like I actually gave him a test because there's this like test online you can look. It's like a dark triad test. And
Yeah, I
another
know. I
mentor of
took that
mine,
test too. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, another mentor of mine said, hey, like test the people around you. It's a business mentor, and he was like, hey, like this, I always give everyone that's close to me this test. And so I gave him the test, and he like scored off the charts for Machiavellianism.
The
like,
problem with those tests, because you know that it's testing for that, like if you want to, you can just like answer all the questions as a psychopath. And if you don't, if you want to hide it, you would just answer as a normal person. Like it's
yeah,
very easy to game those tests is the
and I
problem.
asked
It's
him
almost like
about
you
it.
need to give it to them and not tell them what it is. Like just don't tell them what the test is.
Yeah, but I asked him about it. I was like, so like, do you manipulate people or whatever? He's like, yeah, like I don't see anything wrong with it. And he just like had no shame about it. He was like, yeah, like I manipulate people all the time. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And so like it
Yeah.
was just so weird that I don't like it. Just like being around him. It was weird because he was so good at making you feel comfortable and making you feel at ease, but also you could
The problem
tell
with
like
that is,
something was off.
yeah, and you feel like there's like spider sense tingling. Like, can
Yeah,
I trust this guy? Is he gonna like fuck me over? That's
yeah,
the main reason. That's one of the biggest reasons that I push honesty. Again, it's your life. If you don't want to be honest, like fine, do whatever you want. You probably wouldn't be listening to Joe, and you probably wouldn't be
hmm
listening to me if you were all about like lying. But if you want like an advocacy for like why we recommend honesty, probably the biggest reason is if you lie and manipulate everybody, you have to assume, you will assume that they all must be lying and manipulating you. So now you have to have tension all the time. You have to be on your guard. You have to be checking. You can't trust anyone. You can't get close to anyone. You can never rely on anyone. You're alone. And no matter how many people you surround yourself with, because you can't trust them, you will always feel lonely and alone. And
yeah,
despite what they may tell you or pretend, if you do a bit of research and you read books and studies on this, psychopaths, maybe not extreme psychopaths, but like people who are sociopaths, who are like a little bit sociopathic or a little bit psychopathic, they don't like feeling lonely. Despite what you think, they don't like feeling alone. They don't like the feeling. Same with narcissists. They have the same issue. They don't like that they can't trust anyone, but they've dug themselves into a hole that they can't get out of. Or you can get out of. I believe in redemption, but like they probably won't choose to get out of that hole. So they just can't trust
yeah,
anyone. They assume everyone's trying to fuck them over. They'll go to their grave thinking like, man, everyone tried to fuck me, but I won. And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know that that's happiness. I don't know that no matter how much you try and deceive yourself, I feel like it's self-deception to try and say like, yeah, I'm happy with like feeling tension all the time, having to walk on eggshells, not trusting any other human being around me because
hmm
I fuck all of them over. They're probably trying to fuck me over. I have to just be cautious. I know all the tricks because I fuck everyone over all the time. So I'm going to go hunting for it. I'm going to look for it
hmm
everywhere. Are you fucking me over? Are you fucking me over? Like you can never relax and just enjoy being in the moment with people. And so
yeah,
I
100%.
wouldn't say go the other way and be completely naive and like, everyone is lovely and trust everyone and like that's you're gonna get fucked if you go to that direction, but somewhere more in the middle where you're like a little bit skeptical when you first meet someone, but you kind of open up, you learn to trust them. That's where I am. I'm skeptical when I meet someone. Once I get to know them, I just go all in and I trust the shit out of them. And when I
Yeah, I mean,
say
it's
I'm
like you give a
skeptical,
little
that might be
trust
for
and you
like
see what
15
they do
minutes.
with it. Yeah, well, it's like you give a
Yes,
little trust,
yes,
you open up a
yes.
little bit. You don't. It's almost
Yeah,
like if you're starting business with somebody, you're not like, oh, here's all my savings. Let's like go into this. You're like, all right, well, let's
yeah.
do a little bit first. Let's like, I'll give you a little bit of my trust and my time. Like, I don't meet somebody. I guess it's kind of weird because on YouTube I'm open about my past and like my traumas and shit, and that's kind of weird because I've never met like most of my viewers. So I guess it's a different situation there. Um, but it's like I'm also trying to create a relationship here. But like I don't
Hmm.
like in person, I won't like be like, hey, like you want to hear about my past and like how my mom abused me. Like I'm not gonna fucking like say that to somebody until like I've gotten to know them like a long time. It's
Yeah,
not something
yeah,
that I instantly talk about. If it comes up in conversation the first time I see them, I'd kind of probably allude to it and vaguely talk about it. And then
yeah,
like, but if I've known them
yeah.
for months, then I might like say like, hey, like I don't know if you know this, but like if it's like for instance, there's my friend. I did a couple shoot with him and his girlfriend a couple days ago, or
Hmm.
like last week, and sneezed in his face. I did not do that.
God bless you.
Thank you. I feel blessed. And we were eating over dinner, and he said, we were talking about relationships, and it came up. He asked about my dating life, and it came up that like I'm pushing girls away because of my past traumas. And so like I opened up to him and told him all the details because I've been friends with him for months. So it would be kind of weird for me to be like, hey, like let me not, like I'm just gonna kind of skirt over this. No, I just like never came up in conversation. No, let's come up in conversation. I'm gonna tell you my like what's going on. But like if I just met somebody, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, like I push people away because I'm scared of this and scared of that. It's like, no, that's weird. It's awkward.
Yeah, it's a process of opening up. Like opening up is something that you build up. Of course.
Yeah.
Like honesty is something you like slowly, just like you say, if I meet someone, I mean, I'm pretty damn honest. I'm pretty like, I call that autistically honest. I do tend to just like blurt out something like I have autism. I don't have a filter. And I like living like that. You talked at the start of the podcast about like living your life the way you want to. I kind of like doing that. But even in saying that, just because there's only a limited amount of time that you have in a conversation, you can't possibly get across everything you have to say the first time you hang out with someone. Like it does take, no matter how honest you are, and I'm someone that just, like I said, I blurt shit out. I'm one of the most honest people you'll ever meet. Like, as in, when I say honest, I mean like I'll just say shit. I have no filter. I'm one of the most like no filter people you'll ever meet. And it still takes like maybe a month before you get really close to someone. Like it does take a little bit of time to practice. You just need to have these conversations and talk. And like you said at the start, I really liked what you said before, like volunteering something and see how they react to that. That's how you know if you're dealing with someone who is as honest with you. You volunteer something, like just a little bit. You don't have to say, like you said, like, you know, my parents abused me or treated me like shit. I don't have to say like, I was depressed and suicidal for like 11 years and I wanted to kill myself every day. You don't have to like blurt that out, but you just like do a little hint. You're like, oh yeah, I went through some like trauma when I was like younger, or I was like depressed when I was younger. And then if they say like,
something
oh,
like,
yeah, me
I had
too.
a shitty and chaotic, a really chaotic childhood. Like I'll say something like that.
Yeah. And if they respond with their own shit, they're like, oh, like my childhood was pretty shit too. Like, okay, now I'm dealing with someone who's honest because they're going to give me a little bit back. If they just say nothing or they react negatively or they try and use that against you or something like that, then you know who you're dealing with. Like honesty is like, I'm actually amazed that humans manage to be honest with each other because of how vulnerable you have to be. And I always appreciate how one of the things I do when someone gives me honesty back is I make a really good, really big point of praising them for it. You know, I've done this with you too. I've literally done this to you, Joe. I've said like, when you've been really vulnerable, I've said like, bro, I respect the shit out of you for saying this. Like, good job doing this. Good job doing this. I say to you, good job. Like, you got to do more of this shit, man. Like, keep being vulnerable because it takes effort. It is hard. I do the same with like girls that Imogen, my girlfriend, and I date together. When they start being honest, and that happens from us being honest first, when they give that back, I say like literally like, good job, like good girl. Thank you for being this honest. Or I really appreciate you being this honest. Or I have respect for you for saying this. Like, cool. You can tell us anything, like, thank you for being honest. So honesty is something you can kind of generate by being honest yourself. And then like saying to the person, man, I respect you for your honesty, right? That's cool that you told me this. Thank you, bro. I appreciate this. Like, it doesn't have to be a big thing of like praise or something, but you just say like, man, like, thank you for telling me this, man. That's cool that you told me, dude. Like, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, man. That means a lot that you told me that shit. Yeah, that's cool.
So for guys, so like for me, it like admitting to other people that I wanted a very specific and different sexual life. Like my ideal sex life is similar to yours, if not the exact same. And that's like, my friends know that I was talking about that years before I met you. It's not like just you didn't like give me the idea. And that's actually why I gravitated towards you, because most people, I tell them, they're like, when I'm like, hey, like I like to have a girlfriend and we have threesomes together, they're like, oh, like that's weird. Like, is she gonna sleep with other guys? Are you cool with that? And then I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, well, you're being unfair. And like, well, I never got any good reactions until I met you, and then I became more confident in it, and I just like state it, and then people are like, oh, okay, cool, because I state it in a different way because I'm more comfortable with it. So I guess my question is, for guys that are listening, or girls who are like, I want a very specific like relationship or sex setup, how can they, or they know they don't want the normal shit, but they're scared and don't know how to like explore something new? How could somebody like that be comfortable going off the beaten path?
The first thing would be admitting to yourself that this is what you actually want, rather than just saying this would be a nice thing to have. At some point, you have to make that distinction and say, no, no, no. Okay, I want this. Not just like, oh, it'd be cool. Wouldn't it be great in a fantasy world? Because that's what I was kind of like for a lot of years. Like, oh, I wish I could like have an open relationship. I wish I could sleep with other girls, and like, you know, I wish I didn't just have to have one girlfriend. But it was like this fairy tale dream that I never thought I could actually do. And then the moment when I decided, okay, I'm going to actually try this. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know if like every woman will say like, you're a bad person if you're trying to have multiple, sexual relationships. You're a fucking evil blah. Like I didn't know what would happen, right? But I admitted to myself, I'm willing to try this. I want to at least try this and say I've done it. And that's all you have to do. If you have like a unique relationship, not requirement, but like a desire, like some unique dynamic that you want to try, not even in relationships as well. Like even if it's just like a weird job that you want, like maybe you always wanted to be a YouTuber or something, like whatever it is that you want to that's different to what other people
custom
do.
longboards and sell them at a market or something.
Dude, my dad is a huge surfer, and he made something like 6 like longboards himself, and it took him probably about like a year and a half to get the process down, and he ended up selling like a bunch of them. I think he sold like 5 in the end. That was like an entirely like he just figured out how to do that. He just like taught himself.
Just for fun.
That was like cool as shit. Yeah,
cool.
but the backyard like stank like fiberglass. It was so strong. That resin is really man. It like stinks. It smells like fuel, like petrol.
Yeah.
But gasoline. You guys call it gasoline. What you got?
We call it gas.
Like,
yeah, we just say gas.
Yeah. But to get back on point, like when you figure out that you have this like either relationship dynamic you want to try, or like a different job career path or something you want to try, or some weird thing you want to do that other people haven't done that's like a bit more off the beaten path, first thing to do is research it and say like, has someone else actually done this? 99% of the time, yes, someone else has tried it. They have. Like most of the time, most of the stuff, like me personally, open relationships, there's a million websites on how to do that. That's like really common. I know it seems like an uncommon thing, but as well as I do, there's like a bunch of people doing it right now and writing about how to do it. Like go on my website if you guys want to.
I have friends. I'm in the close friend group. Sorry, real quick. I'm in a close friend group where I have 2 friends. I'm friends with both of them. They're in an open marriage, and they're like, the woman is a leader in the poly community. Like she has a bunch of like people come over to her house, and they all like fuck out in the open. No, I'm just kidding. There are swinger parties that they go to where they do that, but that's usually in an inside place. But there's like campfire parties, or like, we just have a great time. And like, you probably, like, if you're in Austin, you've probably met somebody that goes to those parties, and you had no idea, like, they're in an open marriage.
Yeah, people for sure. Around you, especially in open marriage.
People around you
open marriages
are fucking each other.
Yeah, right. And having sexual intercourse, like putting their penises inside each other's like holes and stuff. Like they're doing that. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a crazy world. People fucking each other.
But yeah, to answer the question, just do a bit of research. You'll find other people do it. And then the second part is like just admitting to yourself that you really, really want this, that you want to try it, and taking those little baby steps. You don't have to like, you won't just go out tomorrow and like fulfill your relationship dreams, or you won't just go out tomorrow and like start that career and start making $100,000 a year on YouTube or something. Like you do have to build it up. It's a series of little baby steps, but the very step has to be admitting that you actually want it. You won't do anything if you just think this is nice, this would be nice to have. You'll never do anything. You won't take any action. You won't improve yourself. You won't actually take the steps that you need to take. But the moment you decide, no, I want this, the moment you say, I'm serious about this, I actually want to do this, that's when you start doing research. You'll have motivation. You don't have to force yourself. You start researching. You start talking to other people who already do it. You start getting some answers, and you start taking those baby steps, and you start turning your life around, or your relationship. You start looking for what you actually want. And so a lot of people could have
100%.
the relationship dynamic they want. They're just not even trying because they haven't admitted to themselves that they actually want to do it. They say it would be nice to have, but that's not the same as like, okay, I want to actually do this. What step? Tell me what I need to do and I'll start. The moment you decide that and say, okay, I'm serious about this. I think I'll actually give it a go. Again, you just have to give it a go. Just try. You don't have to like do it perfectly. But the moment you have that, that's when the change happens. So I don't even need to give advice on like what you actually do. I've just given that to you. Go and research what to do. But the first step has to be like, I'm going to do this. And then, okay, now how do I do it? Go research. I have stuff on my website. You have shit on your YouTube channel. Start with that and then do a bit more research, figure stuff out. You'll find the answers as soon as you decide that you want to actually go looking for them.
I actually put up all my old blog posts and my podcast on the website. So now the website is passionunchanged.com. I should put that in the link description in the YouTube videos. Why haven't I done that?
You should.
Yeah. So passionunchanged.com. I'm not writing any articles right now. And even though I've done some interviews, I'm only putting them on YouTube. I should probably rip them and put them on the podcast as well.
If you can be bothered, like stick them on Spotify and stuff as well going forward. You don't have to do all the old ones, but like, are you on Spotify and everything else?
Yeah, so I'm on everything. I do anchor.fm.
Okay.
Marty Kinris. I don't remember, either they suggested that to me. No, I suggested that to them, I think. I got them on Anchor, I think. I don't remember. One of us got the other one, and I think I remember emailing Marnie and saying, this is a really cool platform, and I think she got on it. But then I also know that they're syndicated with the Podcast One network, so I don't know if they decide that for themselves. It's probably whatever. But yeah, I'm on anchor.fm, which is owned by Spotify, but they syndicate it everywhere. And you can like get ads. It's kind of like YouTube, because like you put an ad in your video, you record ads, you put an ad in your video, and you get money for it. And I got like, I don't know, $20 or something over the course of my whole podcast. It's nice.
I tried to go on there. Like I tried to sign up at the start and they had some shit where it's like only in America, and I was like so fucking annoyed. I should try and see if I can switch at some point, but whatever. I'm fine with my podcast host. I have to pay an exorbitant amount of money. Yeah, I could come to America, yeah.
Yeah, there's a movie called Coming to America with Eddie Murphy.
Isn't that a porn film?
Oh, but I'm sure there's
Coming in
a
America
porn version of it.
I'm going to look up Coming to America right now, but with CUMMING.
I thought you weren't watching porn until the live stream.
Absolutely. That's true. Hey, I didn't click. You can see I haven't clicked anything. That's just a Google search. Okay, and then there's your face. So I haven't looked at porn, sir. For anyone listening, Joe and I are doing a challenge to like not jerk off, like, or not like look at porn and jerk off.
Hold on a second. Let me put my dick in front of the camera.
Don't get your penis out, please.
I'm gonna make you.
You can't be doing that on YouTube, son. You'll get kicked off immediately.
All right, I can edit it out.
But yeah, do you find you have more? I mean, I've done NoFap like multiple times past where you don't jerk off at all, but like really quickly you start having more energy and like motivation to do stuff, like especially if it's talking to girls or going on dates and stuff. Like, you just don't jerk off.
So it's funny because a couple of days ago I started feeling lonely, and I didn't even think about it until this moment. I was probably feeling lonely because I wasn't feeling. When I used to feel lonely, I would like maybe watch porn and jack off. But now I'm not doing that. So I'm like, I feel lonely. My instinct was to swipe a bunch on Tinder if it was at nighttime and I couldn't go out, or go out and like talk to girls if it was daytime and I could go out. So yeah, like I didn't even think about that. Like I just decided so adamantly that I wasn't going to watch porn that I didn't even think about watching porn when I like had those moments these past couple of days. But it probably was the same trigger. I just instantly thought about a good constructive way to fill that need, which is kind of cool. Like I didn't even realize I had that in me.
I mean, of course you do. Like, why wouldn't you?
I don't know. I like for a while. So it's actually funny. I recorded an interview with Noah Church, who has addicted to internetporn.com or something. He has like a internet porn addiction site. And then I like vehemently like I was like, oh, I'm being Puritan. Like I don't think this is a good idea. And so I actually deleted his interview because like my view for a while was like that's a Puritan thing. That's like no swearing. Like why the fuck would you say no porn? Like there's nothing wrong with porn. And so unfortunately I don't have that interview anymore and I feel kind of shitty. But
Aww.
it was a good interview. It
Poor
was
guy
like
too. Came on your
2017.
podcast and then.
I feel bad. I never told him. I mean, like, yeah, that was like early days. That was like 5 years ago. Before like
But
anything.
like, so what are your views on porn now? Because mine specifically are, I just want to minimize it. So if I watch it once, maybe twice a week, but at the moment I'm just going for once a week, I'm okay with that.
Sure. So my views on porn are, it can be a good tool. There's nothing wrong with it inherently, but I find that if I'm watching it on a regular basis, then I'm very cold and unempathetic with girls and
Okay,
impatient.
that's
I mean, here's the
interesting.
thing. I still want sex as quickly as possible. That's not changed. So I don't mean impatient as in now I'm patient and now I like to wait a long time for sex. That's not true. But I mean impatient as in like I don't empathize with girls and like if they're nervous, now I'd be like, oh, okay, like, you're nervous. That makes sense. You're a human being. Like, let's talk through it or like work through it or whatever. But when I was watching porn, I'm just like, well, fuck you. Like, I'm not really empathetic. I'm just kind of like, you're in my
Is it
way.
almost like you're not patient?
Yeah.
Like you have more patience. Yeah, I'm the same. I feel the same shit. Yeah, I'm nicer if I don't jerk off as much. I'm not an asshole if I jerk off.
Yeah.
It's just like I have more energy, I guess, to give. I don't know how you describe it, like masculine energy, maybe like
Well, this is for
testosterone.
porn.
What the?
So for jacking off, if I jack off, I'm more emotional. More like my emotions are more like a roller coaster. Although these past couple of days it's been like a roller coaster, but that's for
Mine
like
too.
other
Mine
reasons.
too.
But it's also like when I don't jack off, and this is something I don't do too often, but so like I think it's testosterone because I know like testosterone goes up, but the feeling that I get when I because I haven't really done any testosterone labs ever, but I think it's my testosterone is like I guess the feeling is like more stoic, but it's just like even keeled. It's like I'm more rational. I'm thinking more like logically. Like something happened yesterday that I actually talked about in a couple of videos, where I had, and you know exactly what this is. I had a lot of very, 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 very strong emotions come up. But even though the emotions were extremely strong, like my mind was like, oh, okay. And I was a little unhinged. I was like, oh, okay, like I have this immense anger come up. I have to go, okay, it's time for me to put on my gloves, go to the gym, and let it all out on the bag. And then, okay, so now that I've let it all out in the bag, I need to figure out, like, I want to maintain this friendship with this person. Let me figure out what kind of boundaries I can put together that would work for both of us. And I didn't do necessarily a great job. It's all solved now. We like me and him, we made up, but I didn't like, I could have done a better job, but like at the same time, the intensity of this emotion and the cool-headedness that I faced it with, a lot of that was probably because I haven't been jacking off, because that made me a lot less like off balance. I think if I had
more
been
stable.
Yeah. So if I had been jacking off, I might have reacted a little differently. Or if I hadn't had sleep, I would have reacted a little differently. Like those things.
Yeah.
Like I think lack of sleep and jacking off a lot, they have similar effects.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that too. Yeah.
Subjectively, at least. I don't know about the science.
For me, it's also energy. It's like once I jack off, I'm like I crash for like a couple hours. Yeah. Sometimes I don't really want to do anything.
Take a nap. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I just have no motivation as well. You're like, well, it's almost like an apathy. I'm like, oh, what's the point? Like, why would I go and record a podcast? Why would I go and do some work? Like I just want to lay in my bed and do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of laying in bed and doing nothing.
Jacked off and stuff.
world's worst segue, but I do have to go in a little bit because I have another podcast
Okay.
in a little bit.
Oh, you cheated on me.
I am. That's true.
Damn.
This will be my fourth interview / coaching call today. Busy boy.
Cool shit. Oh yeah. All right. So then, do you have
I am
anything you want
cheating
to
on you.
shout out?
I would like to shout out your channel. If anyone's not on your channel right now, they should go to your channel. Because I do believe that you're going to blow up at some point. And I was meant to say this in the interview I did with you. Because you and I, okay, I'll shout out the interview you and I did together. You and I did an interview. I hope Joe's going to put a link to that in the description below. So go and watch that. It's like more content.
I will, but I will once it's up. And this will come out 2 weeks before yours is up.
Yeah. I'll just give you the link to edit and add in. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you
Good
see
point.
it in the description below, it's up. If not, I'll have something that's saying coming soon.
Nice. Yeah. And then on top of that, I guess I shout out like my website if you want advice on getting girls. Like I got a free Tinder guide on there. Big epic guide on like how to improve yourself and all that sort of stuff. Plenty of articles on there. Go check that stuff out. We've also got the forums. Let's like briefly, if you're happy to, mention the forums. Like we have a community of like, it's guys on there, but like girls, I guess you're welcome to come if you want to. Probably no girl ever will, but like it's a self-improvement
like they're
forum.
really into girls. Like I've met a few girls who are like really into girls and kind of like they're like butch and kind of like a dude when it comes to girls.
Yeah, I've had like a bunch of emails from girls who like watch my content, like a lot now. It's like seriously like 15 girls now in the last like year that have said like, "Hey, I love your content." And I'm like, "Whoa, okay, that's cool." I had one that like did all these changes in her life. She did like a massive. I recorded a podcast for her. I think it was episode 100 of my
I remember. Yeah.
podcast. Yeah. And like I just laid into her. I gave her like I was like hard with the advice and stuff. And then she emailed me like 3 months later and she's like, okay, so I did this and this and this and this
cool
and this. Now I have like I've got a new career that you like encouraged me to quit my job. So now I've done this. I'm also starting my own business. I've been in a relationship for like 2 months now with this guy who's like been my friend for like 5 years. And I actually said to him like, hey, I like you. And he was like, I like you too. Let's go for a drink. And like, so she made all these changes. She's gone to the gym. She's lost like, 7 pounds or something. I was like, that's freaking awesome, man. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
But we do have a forum if anyone wants to join and it's obviously free and all that crap. And
yeah, dude, the forums are really awesome. Like everyone's super supportive. I've had a lot of great experiences on there. I've been like I've become more and more vulnerable in the forums and like everyone's really supportive. And you can see the innermost workings of my life if you want.
Yeah. You shouted out for that reason. I guess you can see all the crap that I get up to as well.
Yeah. For sure. Cool shit. Do you want to shout out your podcast website too, or just Kill Your Inner Loser?
Whatever. Just go to killyourinnerloser.com. I'm sure Joe will put a link down there. I have a podcast as well, but you can find that through that link.
Cool shit.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Andy.
Everything's bigger in Texas. Do you want me to do it in the voice?
Yeah, do it.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
I'll give you a 7 out of 10.